Like it's always so loud. Recording in progress. All right, awesome. Can you do me a favor and just tell me more about yourself and what you do and what you consider to be the biggest challenge that you're facing right now when it comes to achieving your goals?
Sure. I am a multi-passionate, multi-dimensional entrepreneur, so I'm sure you understand
Yep.
that sometimes it's where do you start? Because there are so many ways that I love to be of service. I'm here to help the helpers in their ascension journey and also in sharing their gifts with the world. And there's so many little parts
Yes,
to
there
how
are.
we can help people with that.
Yep.
I have a channeled energy activation modality that I've
Okay.
recently launched that has gone really beautifully, that I have a
Amazing.
certification with. And that's my part of my real soul work, but I also have a transformational journey facilitator certification as well, where
Okay.
I'm helping healers really go beyond being a healer. I'm here for the people who are healers by default, but really they're light workers, they're activators, they're here to move into that next wave of service, which is
Yes.
working with the people who've already done a bunch of healing and help them be creators. So both of these certifications are the what I want to really develop and build upon because
Okay.
they're giving people the tangible skill sets to be more magical and scale their business and bring move out of that broke healer paradigm and have some scalable options for people.
Okay.
Along the way, I also have realized people need support with all kinds of things in that vein, actually trusting their intuition, using their voice, their abundance mindset. So I have
Yeah.
different programs, masterminds, a membership that also takes some of the more personal development pieces that they need to be able to be successful with
Yeah.
the business stuff. So I have um, an array of offers, and right now my focus is on basically scaling, being more visible, and marketing effectively. And I feel
Yes.
like you will get what I'm talking about with all of this.
Yes. So, I mean, I think that you already know this. Like, this is a very common thing in this space where we have these amazing women who are so multi-talented that have so much to offer and have figured out lots of different components and lots of different ways to support people on their own journey. But it's like, when it comes to our own thing, right? We kind of have that blind spot where it's like, well, I know I can help with this. I know I can help with this. I know I can help with this. And when it comes to seeing someone else's business, right, we're able to kind of help them pick and choose and weave together things that will make this amazing container. But for ourselves, it's challenging to kind of navigate through all of that. So first and foremost, I'm flattered and honored that you're giving me the opportunity to help you kind of peer inside at all of these different pieces and support you in a way that can hopefully take things to the next level. When you have all of these things together, how are you marketing them? Like how are you finding the mental space? Honestly, because it's a lot to market and promote lots of different offers. So how are you finding that that's working for you right now?
So the reason I feel like I don't have to completely abandon all of them is I have twice a year a certification launch. And
Cool.
that's when there's like a big focus. We have a live challenge and
Yeah.
we only enroll twice a year. So that's where I do the majority of the heavy lifting with the big launch, which I do love, and they usually go pretty well. Then the other little pieces I just do typically seasonally. Like I'll rotate
Okay.
through promoting something to have a an offer because I would get bored of speaking of the exact same offer all of the time too. So when my certifications are not in a launch, it's like I just did Soul Voice Summer. So we talked about light language, we talked about
Love it.
channeling, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and there'll be other times where I'm like, oh, you know what? I could really like let's focus on your intuition right now. So it's just having like more micro offers or
Mm-hmm.
entry level offerings for people where they can hop in on. And I feel like doing that in a cyclical way feels really good to me. And I
Hmm.
don't usually do more than one or two at the same time, but I feel like if I have a big offer, then I can also be like, oh, and if this is not for you, you can come into this micro course or, a lower ticket offer
Right.
and
So
basically
like
get on
that,
track.
like the downsell option. So this is obviously we both know that we're utilizing this video for training to help everyone who comes across this to learn. And so an opportunity there, what you're referring to for those that are not familiar, is a lot of times when we have that, our kind of main signature high ticket offer, that's kind of the driving force for our business. And then like what you're saying is those micro offers where if someone's coming in, they're saying, I'm really interested in this, but I can't quite take that leap yet. Then we're able to guide them into something that is a kind of a component of what's in that bigger holistic space that's going to be a little bit more targeted for their specific need at that time.
Mhm.
So what I'm wondering, when it comes to your business and you have these different facets, I love the certification side of things. I think that that is such a powerful thing to be able to offer, especially when they're set up in a way that really create a very like co-creative energy for both the creator of the certification and for those who come in to have that offer. I'm a big advocate for certifications. I have one of my own, and I'm a huge proponent for this because there are so many women who come into the space that the business aspect and like building all of that stuff out is not quite their jam, but they're healers and they want to help support the collective. They want to really show up in their gifts, but putting together everything for that is not quite their wheelhouse. Will you tell me a little bit about those certifications? Because I would love to feature them in the description of this video in case someone who comes across this and watches it goes, gosh, I love that idea. I would love to hop inside that so we can include that. Can you tell me about both of them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I love when people take both and it's a whole year with me because that feels really complete and like they've got a lot of the
I
skills
love
that I
that.
share in my
Yeah.
coaching. But they're not always both for everybody. So the first one is called the Transformational Journey Facilitator Certification.
Okay.
And that's where I really focus on taking people who've got like a modality or two, and they are normally booking single sessions, and needing to do that, to give them the skill set that they need to move out of that hamster wheel and
Yeah.
start doing either one to many with workshops and retreats, which is almost always a dream of healers and everything
Yes.
anyway,
Yeah.
and give them the templates and the structures. And I work with the elements to help build these transformational experiences with people, but they get to alchemize all of their stuff. And I also teach them how to turn their sessions into coaching packages where
Okay,
you are
cool.
actually walking someone through the transformation instead of being a one hit wonder where they come to you for a dopamine hit or a nice energy
Sure.
bath.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. You know about this, we'll see it. It's like there's a lot more to this. We've got to really go in and clean this stuff out because, yeah, one session will make us feel better, but it's kind of like going in and cleaning where there's a mold issue, but not ever taking care of the leak, you know? It's like we
Exactly.
can go in
And
and clean out the mold, but if the leak's still there, it's gonna keep coming back.
and this is what I know people got into the business for, was to help people, and a single session is not the actual way to get them the results that they need.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not. It's a great way to get started, right? But
Mhm.
if we're going to want to scale a business, we do have to have some type of signature offer, something that is going to be a little bit, has a little bit more body to it and has a higher price point to it. So, how does that certification work? Because from what I'm familiar with, is usually you train someone in your own process and then certify them as like a they get a licensee. They're licensed to practice that. So it sounds like you're doing something a little bit different with that. Um,
That is what it is. So they become facilitators of this process, and then they can use everything. They've all the templates, they've got everything that they need, and they can do it exactly like that business in a box kind of way.
Okay.
And they also have the opportunity to just remix it and alchemize it because it'll work for any niche. And so they
Yeah.
can also take the process as the backbone to make sure they're walking someone through a transformational journey, but they can focus on someone's health and nutrition or their intuition, or they've got a specialty, right?
Yeah.
So
I love that. So it's kind of teaching them how to teach others how to create this like a spiritual intuitive, I like to say it like intuitive, because not every business is like spiritual, but it's for women who are more intuitive, who have these special unique gifts. Am I understanding that correctly?
almost, they're not licensed to teach others the process, but to take others through the process.
Okay, how is that different?
So I'm giving them the skill set that they can then have a business where they are coaching and facilitating workshops, but they
Mhm.
can't train people to run
In
their
your
own
exact
business. In
process.
my, yes, so they're
Okay.
not the licensed facilitator, they're the practitioner,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
They have to send
So
people to me to be trained. They can't run the same certification.
got it. Got it. But they are learning how to help other people create businesses. Is that
No, they
no?
are
Okay. So
learning how to take other people through a transformational journey. Whatever that person is, like whatever their expertise in is to take someone from point A to point B where they want to go. So if they love working with people's intuition because they're channels, then I can give them a way to go from being like a tarot reader and intuitive to
yeah,
actually creating workshops that will help people develop their own intuition, right? Where they can
got
actually
it.
take people through a whole process or coach people to develop their intuition over a signature program, but not teach them how to run their own business.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Interesting. That is, again, that's a little bit different from how I've seen other like certification programs go, but I like the kind of the hybrid spin on it where we're looking at this from the aspect of learning the business while also understanding that we can all make it our own, right? It's not like this old masculine way of doing things where it's like this and this and this, and you have to cold DM and you have to do it this way, which just feels really uncomfortable to intuitive women, right? when we're much more aligned in our feminine energy, we're like, I don't want to work like that. Like I have other things to offer and other ways to do things. So teaching them how to create that is powerful. What about the other certification?
That's where instead of teaching the workshops, retreats, and coaching, I actually teach people my brand of alchemical magic, where you're
Okay.
working really directly with someone's energy field to clear out blocks to their divine
Okay.
flow
So
and
it's a
then
proprietary
activate their light
healing.
body. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even like calling it healing. Healing's it's for going beyond healing into like activations, but basically, and taking people on soul journeys that they can do either to individuals or in group programs.
I love that. Or so they would be able to take that specific and use it for clients, correct? They can't teach that, but they can use that proprietary process to guide clients through that same process, right? Like they're
Yes,
licensed to use your process.
exactly. Like, yeah, I think a lot of those I could at some point develop a facilitator level where they could learn how to teach other people it, but that would be another level in the process, right? Because
Yeah, that's a lot of,
doing it
yeah,
versus teaching it is another whole thing.
that's a lot more to add to the list of things. Okay, so I see a way that these definitely go together. So I think one of the, I'll just kind of dive in. One of the things that I usually guide women through when they come to me and they're very multi-passionate is we create that signature offer. A lot of times it is going to be a higher ticket, longer term container, like a 6 to 12 month, like hybrid mind is what I prefer because I feel like that works the best for us and for those who are coming into the space. This includes like weekly access to us as individuals, and then also having like the program and processes built out so someone can work at their own pace and get support as needed in a group setting, or if they want to upgrade and get more one-to-one, they can. And so having something that's kind of put together in this larger container where people can kind of hop in and utilize whatever components they want to kind of helps us stay focused with our messaging, right? We know where we want to lead people, we know where we want to support them. And so it sounds like you're kind of doing something already similar to that. But from what I'm understanding, it doesn't sound like you quite have it all inside one. I would definitely not put the like I'm gonna say healing just because that's how my brain is understanding it, but like the proprietary like healing modality that you've created definitely sounds like a separate component outside of that, but it almost seems like the rest could maybe come together in a really transformative like group long-term container. Have you thought about creating anything like that so it could be a little bit more of a direct, like here's where we're going, and then it allows you to talk about the different components however often you want, always knowing it's still guiding people into the same supportive, co-creative space?
I mean, are you talking about putting every single other thing that I do into that one certification?
Not into the certification, no, like creating like a mastermind, like a long-term group program where people can come in and access really kind of lots of different components of what you're already doing, but they're all going into the same container so that you can show up weekly for group calls. And then they're able on the inside, so I say it's like a hybrid mind where everything is already created inside the platform where the program is built out. So if someone's in there and really wants to focus right now on one of the aspects that you teach on, they can focus on that and then access you in a group setting and say, hey, this is where I am. I need help with this. You can support them. And so it allows for more like flow in the space, but then it kind of helps you to bring everything together. Can you see a way where stuff could fit in together, or is it still too like
stuff though? Like I already have, so if you're talking about the transformational journey facilitator one, it's already a 6-month program that does that.
Right. So I'm talking about, like you said, all the other like little things that you teach. So outside of the certifications, it would be the other like
I could only see that if it was like in my membership or something.
Do you have a membership created?
I do, but that would be, I'd have to make it a lot more high ticket if it had that much in it. And there's already so much other stuff in there that I feel like, yeah, that might be overwhelming to people. Like everything's pretty much like its own little course. Like I've got, like it's a learn light language. It's a 6-module course. Like it's a very self-sufficient thing. It doesn't need to be in a hybrid mastermind model.
Yeah, that wouldn't make sense. Yeah. What are the other ones?
I have a like learn to read oracle card certification that's self-study that also is just a self-study contained thing. And if they, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, it would almost be like, that since you have like all these different like micro courses, it would almost be like you would need to do something. You could offer it as like monthly if people want to unlock each different one, but that is a lot. That is a lot. That's a tough. It's so funny. I'm seeing this like wheel in my head. I'm like, okay, but what does that mean? It's almost like this container for people that want to learn all of these different modalities so that they can create their own unique, like transformational journey. So I can see how they plug in together like that, where it's like, okay, well, if you want to create a transformational journey for someone, you probably are going to need to learn lots of different modalities. So the main offer could almost turn more into that transformational offer for the certification. And then the downsell would be the unique.
Yeah,
like
that's what I
different.
do already.
Okay.
The mastermind that I want to do is I've done masterminds in the past, didn't include a bunch of the certifications or anything, but it
Yeah,
includes
that's a
some of the
lot.
little courses, right? Like it gives you access to the membership and some of my other little courses. So that's,
Right.
I guess, maybe what you're talking about, where we can actually focus on that. I haven't built one out for a while, and I am wanting to have basically the certification level, but then also have like membership and mastermind,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Where that,
I've seen like having the different options and like the different levels for people to come into stuff. It's weird. Like for some people it works really, really well. And then for others, it like it overwhelms people. Like it's an odd little odd duck there. It's not just like anything else. It's not like one size fits all with anything. What is the main thing that you want to like focus on in your business?
the thing is the certifications, but I only launch those every 6 months. So there's a good, nice, like runaway, and I focus on those. But then for the 6 months in between, I
Right.
love having hey, join my membership or my mastermind, right? And then occasionally I have a little like, hey, did you want to learn how to do the Oracle cards or light language? And those are very much more downsell type things. So it's and those are really, I don't need to sell a bunch of those. They're not my
Right.
focus. It's just a micro offer. So think of those
Yeah.
extras as micro offers that I can just offer as a downsell somewhere, or just randomly if I'm sharing my Oracle cards, I can be like, hey, do you want to take this? But really, I feel like membership for the person that's not ready to go into a mastermind or certification, because I have had great luck with nurturing people. So by the time the 6 months rolls around, they've been in my membership, they're like, okay, now I'm ready.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, do you have like lead magnets and ascension sales funnel set up? Because now that I'm understanding more about what you have going on in your business, that actually would probably be a really helpful thing to set up is if you're having kind of like a more rounded lead magnet that kind of encompasses what you're all about, and then creating something like that, those upsells. So I have that created. There's several aspects of my own business that similar to you. So I will promote that lead magnet, and in that ascension funnel, I put certain things so that people have the option to just purchase them. And that's really the only time they see them. I don't promote or have to talk about them at all. It's just I talk and I show up and it's like, oh, this lead magnet would make sense for the content that I was talking about. So I can put that and then give the opportunity for the upsells. Is that something that you have in place?
I do, yeah.
What are your lead magnets?
Um, the one I've been focusing on right now is a frequency upgrade academy that basically includes some of my teachings to help people, especially the healers, the light workers, the intuitives, be a really clear channel and activate what I call their sparkle field, which just basically makes it so that they're no longer being energy vampired. Their psychic senses are online. It changes everything energetically. And I talk about it in terms of the intuitive part. And this is especially important if you are a healer, light worker in business, seeing clients, because this is going to help you be magnetic, be in the divine flow, all of those things. So I've been loving that one. It's been
Well,
pretty well received.
that sounds
And it's
awesome. I'll
easy
make
to
sure and
share.
get the link from you for that one too to put in the description of this. That
Yeah.
sounds really cool.
Yeah, I like that one. I've had lots of other ones in the past that are like meditation and things like that. But one I'm going to create when I'm done with this next launch is a meditation I just did in a micro mind that was connecting to the oversoul of your business and being able to channel that, which also leads into, hey, would you like help with your intuitive development or your business?
Yes,
These are the tools that I
exactly.
have.
So figuring that out, because I wish I could, I don't want to like turn everything around on my whiteboard over here. It's like right here. But that's exactly what I was saying earlier with like, and this is for education for everyone who watches this, right? We have this kind of main place that we want to lead people, right? And then from there, we might have, like you said, like the light language certification or the Oracle cards and different things, but it's all connected, right? It's all connected in this space of women who want to step into their power and start sharing their gifts and abilities to impact and empower others. Is that correct? Am I understanding that correctly?
Exactly.
So it's
Yeah.
all part of this
The
thing.
umbrella of
Yes,
activate your soul gifts or expand them and then share them with the world.
exactly. So from that space, this is where we always work backwards. So we figure out what is its main offer. And it sounds like you kind of have different components within it, which most of them do. They can either be one offer that has all of the components in it, or like you're saying, just that umbrella, that understanding of, okay, this is it. And then we work off of that. So it's like, all right, if I'm going to get people into my proprietary process, I need to break down from that, like what piece of that would someone really be looking for if they're going to be interested in that? And then what would be that free lead magnet that would attract them into this part so that I can still lead everyone into this same final destination, I guess you could say. So when it comes to what you're creating, have you kind of mapped that out yet?
Yeah, I have a few different ones that do that. Last year for my launching the transformational journey facilitator training, I did a lead magnet where it was like get the most incredible comprehensive checklist of how to put on a workshop or retreat. That was, the lead magnet for people who were like, "Oh, I want to put on a retreat or workshops," and then I was like, "And let me show you how to make it even more magical." So I do always try to have that top of funnel that'll bring in the people that'll want to go further.
Yeah, what I mean is like even putting it like all of it, like mapping all of it. That was a big thing that shifted a lot for me in my own business because I have my own healing certification, right? Teaching people how to do this and making them licensed to do it, and then having the mastermind to teach people how to build up the business from A to Z. So it's like they all make sense, right? But it is different. And so it's like figuring out how does this look together? How does this work together when it comes to content, when it comes to showing up? And how can I lead people into that space going the direction that they need to go? So having it just kind of all laid out, that was just to see it all may helped so much for me. I'm a visual person too, though.
Yeah,
So
I've definitely mind mapped how they go together, and it's not linear because people might come in through a micro offer or the membership or the certification.
yeah, yeah, because
Like,
businesses are their own like entity. They have a soul. They have their own like consciousness. So having it put in a way where you can see it kind of connecting. This is where it does get challenging. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I have some like magic wand for everybody where it's like, hey, this is just what you need to do. Because it does get challenging when we're trying to figure out how how do I lead someone to the right destination with love? How do I make sure that they get there when I have lots of different ways that could potentially help them? So having that mapped out is helpful, at least in my brain, to be able to look and say like, okay, if this person would need this, they would probably also need this and then this, right? what what are you coming up with like for your next promotion, for your next certification? Like when are you launching that?
ooh, I'm in a little mini launch for something right now, just at like a micro offer about intuitive development. But my next certification launch will be at the mid-October mark. So we're really looking at developing the copy and things.
Yeah.
Last year, I said, like, for my free event, like, master the art of facilitation, like, to actually bring people through the transformational journey. But this year I'm feeling like I want to get much more specific and be talking to those people, those healers specifically who've got a couple modalities or one modality, who want to go from hobby business to being in the full-time business, because they're going to get the best results from this as well.
Yeah.
And so speaking to them about, I don't know if the word scale is in their vocabulary, but basically going like,
Yeah.
hey, do you want the the secret sauce to being able to actually have the money to go full time and the ability to go full time in your business? You need to learn how to do one to many or take people on a transformational journey, or both.
Right.
And
Have that
let me
more,
show
like
you
the
how to do that.
impact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so really it's like I want to speak more to like, is becoming a transformational journey facilitator your next step to build the business that you've been dreaming of, so you can, you know, leave the 9 to 5 or go from, you know, getting a couple clients to actually being yeah, booked out.
Yeah.
But sometimes I get a little freaked out about talking about, like, 'cause I'm not talking about the business and the marketing, right? So what I'm really doing is giving them the skill set to do these in a good way, as opposed to like, and then you have to learn how to market it and do all that. So I
Yeah.
don't want
And
to talk
see,
about the business promises so much.
yeah, and you're right, because this is where, and it's because you're ethical. This is where a lot of people, they get kind of, I hate to say, but they get kind of bamboozled, because that's what happens is they're promised, hey, learn how to, get hundreds of clients and da 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 da. So maybe someone's teaching marketing, but then they don't have any offer, or they don't have the back end, the ascension funnel set up, or they don't have this stuff. And they're like, okay, I learned this, but like, I'm still not making any money. So it's like being very specific about what it is someone is going to learn in something. I think it's really important. And it's funny that you're bringing that up, because as we were talking, as I'm learning more about your business and understanding how things are all put together, it sounds like from the back end framework side, you've kind of got a good feel for it. I mean, you've kind of put it together in a way that you feel really aligned. But it is sounding like and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of more of like the copy, and like, how do I speak of this, and how do I create the correct content, and almost not so much marketing. I don't sit there and say I'm a marketing expert, but when it comes to like creating copy, making sure that we're clear on that copy, that can be a really big challenge too for people. And that's what I was starting to feel like. I was like, oh, I think maybe we need to like shift over into chatting about that aspect.
Yeah, it's the specificity in marketing and messaging has always been the greatest challenge and opportunity for me, because I'm a generalist, and I was like, this will help you in this, and
Yep.
this, because it does.
Yes.
Painting the very specific pictures is my growth area. So, which is why I want to talk to that healer who has 1 or 2 modalities and wants to go beyond having a Reiki certification. And really, I want to really create my brand as one that is professional development for healers and light workers who would like to get the best results for their clients, because that's what I really can do.
Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. This is again where I always say I need some, like, we have to have, I'm going to repeat myself again, but like signature offer. So we know what your offer is. It's what you just said. Like what you just said, you have lots of different ways to help people do that. So what I like to do is something I refer to, it sounds kind of ominous, but it's an offer autopsy. And so what I mean by this, kind of silly, but I created that term because we dissect our offer, right? We pull it apart. Who is this for? Why do they want it? How quickly is it going to get them that result? What, and like, you know this about the avatars, right? It's about like, what are their pain points? What are their desires? What contribution do they want to make? These different things. So we get very, very specific. We go through that offer and really dissect it and look at it and say, who is this for? What does this do? Because that's something you probably see this too when you work with clients, or they're like, I don't understand my offer at all. Like we see this, or they're like, I know, because we operate in like this realm up here, right? Where we're like, I get it, because I don't, like, we don't need to understand how it works. We just know it does. But when we're talking to the muggles, we have to be able to explain it. And the challenge that comes from that is it's not so much explaining the program, it's explaining the result. It's explaining the transformation, because most people don't, and I say this with love to anyone who watches this, but like they don't care about getting their chakras aligned. You know what I mean? Like they're like, what the heck is that? Most people don't know what that is. Most people are like, what? Like, this is going to align my chakras? Like, I need more money, or I don't like my marriage, or I am like, I'm tired of not getting the raise or the promotion. Like, so we have to look at, how does my offer translate more into layman's terms? I always say that we want to kind of create the copy as if we're trying to explain something to about a 12-year-old. And I say this with love. It's not to be like really anyway. It's just because our brains, we get it. And so it's like, okay, how can I really break this down and explain it to where a 12-year-old would understand it? Because when we're in our zone of genius, it all makes sense, right? But if I were to go to maybe a restaurant and got to have a tour of the back, and they were talking about the different flavor sensations on the tongue and the difference, I'll be like, what the heck are you talking about? Like, whoa, we need to mix these together. And this, I'd be like, what is going on here? Does it taste good? Right? I want to know, is this going to be yummy when I eat it? So this is how the client is going to think. What am I going to get out of this service? What am I going to get out of this process? So focusing on result, and also helping someone create an image in their brain about what that result would be like. I know you're familiar, we're all familiar with like yucky bro marketing tactics, where it's like, let's find the pain points. We can just poke at it and pick at it and tell people how much they suck and that we're going to fix everything. Like, it's like such a narcissistic way to go about business. It's such an odd thing. We need to understand a pain point from the aspect of, okay, if this is someone's frustration, fear, struggle, heartache, heartbreak, what is their desire then? So if this person is upset because they keep dating the same type of men, then I need to understand this so that I can talk about, what is it going to feel like to finally be in that dream relationship? What's it going to feel like to have the ability to make the contribution that we want to make? What's it going to feel like? What's the vision going to be? That's the copy, that's the content that's going to talk to the right people that are ready to take action. When we focus on pain points, and you may already know this, so forgive me, but when we focus on pain points, we're going to attract people that are in pain and still in their pain, looking for someone to fix it. Versus when we speak about desire, about what we want to create, we're talking to people who are in a place who are already looking for a solution. They're the ones who are ready to take action.
So we have to acknowledge the challenges and the pain, but from that lens of like, this is the solution and we've got you and you can do it. But
Exactly.
yeah, without pressing on them. But most of my people are still in the moving away from pain versus moving only towards pleasure. They're at the beginning of their journey. And so I like to strike that balance for sure. And they're frustrated usually because they're like, yeah, they took Reiki and they're like, I'm going to build a business. And then they're like, oh, I can't fill my days with Reiki. People don't really want Reiki. No, because they want a transformation. They don't care what the process is. So I want to help them get out of that energy and have these structures and templates and systems that I don't even talk about what they are very much. Like if there's an elemental complement to it, but that they know that they can walk their clients through this process and they're gonna get a result. Right. I teach them how to facilitate energetic transformation in a grounded, practical way. And people can go from feeling like, I don't know what to do to help this person. I only have this one trick to, oh, I've got exactly what I need to move people depending on where they are currently at. And we do a lot of facilitating rather than teaching, right? It's like getting people to be connected to their own intuition and creating the
Yes.
space for their own transformation. So it's so much easier than people think as well. And the people that come
Right.
through the
Yeah.
cells are like, oh gosh, wow. You know, like they used to be like, oh, it's going to be easy to coach people. And they're like, I actually don't know what I'm doing. And it's like, here, let me show you how to, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I see that. I'm sure you see it a lot because they come in and they want to coach, they want to be seen as an expert, but it's that confidence. And it's because they have maybe one or two certifications or something, but they're like, well, how do I fill in all the gaps? And that's one of the biggest things. It's like you have to learn to tap in and like allow your intuition to guide you. I mean, how did you create a certification program? How did I create a certification program? It's because we learned to tap in. Everyone has that ability to create a proprietary process. Everyone has that ability to be able to make that kind of contribution and impact. And that is the biggest thing, is learning how to tune in and trust. So I love that you are creating that facilitation process through the teaching. So it sounds like you give practical steps while also teaching how to connect with this inner guidance, how to take things to the next level in that way as well.
Yeah, for themselves, but then also how to teach their clients how to do that. So their clients get incredible results
Exactly.
as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, the gap in the marketplace I always find is for that intermediate space, right? Of people that, aren't where, you or I are at with our own certifications, and maybe they've got one or two modalities, and like, how do they get better? How do they learn how to actually make the transformation? So that's really where I want to market to, in that middle ground of people that are ready for more.
I can see that. I hadn't really thought about that. It is an interesting, you're right, there's that gap because people will be like, okay, yeah, I want to learn this certification, but it's like, well, now what? Like, what do I do now that I know how to do light language, or now that I know how to perform Reiki, or etc. Where do I take this? Where do I go from here? And I feel like that's a big place that women get stuck, is
Mhm.
they don't have any of that guidance. So I definitely think the market that you serve is there. And it's going to be that, just really working and tweaking that content, because you've got everything else built out. It sounds like, again, sales funnels and the ascension funnels, the lead magnets. There's just working to find that specific audience and speak directly to them and help them understand why you have that solution. It sounds like you understand that component as well.
Yeah, I have been really working my butt off to bring it all together, and now it's just a question of like all the foundations built, and it's getting it out there to people. Like I don't have to keep. I've run most of these certifications and programs 4 or 5 times. Like the content is solid, so it's just getting it out. So and
Yeah.
it's scaling.
Do you feel like that's the biggest place that you struggle in your business at this point?
Yeah, and I feel like it was a struggle previously, and I have some new places where I am growing, and there's been consistent growth for a while. Last year, I had to let my business go almost completely down to zero with no launches, no programs, because I wasn't going to share my modality for about a decade. And I thought it was going to be one-on-one apprenticeship. I had no idea how I could teach people how to do what I do.
Yeah.
And then Spirit said, let everything go. And in that space, then the 10-year plan collapsed into like a vision for like this year.
Yes.
So I lost all my momentum, but it was worth it because then I collapsed the time on that. And then it's just been a slow process of like, okay, getting the visibility, the momentum, the income back up to where it is now and where it's going to grow.
Yeah. Well, I can relate to that. I feel like probably a lot of people who watch this can relate to that, where it's like we've been building something and then it's like something's not working here. Like it's like something's not clicking. I had to do that last year as well. You said last year?
Mhm.
Wild. So that must have been a
A lot of
year.
people did.
Yeah. So something, it was like a total recalibration. And then starting this year was like I got the clarity of like, okay, this is how it's all gonna piece together. So would you mind, like, if someone's going through that right now, do you have words of wisdom for them?
Yes, it is creating enough safety for yourself to trust that there are going to be phases where you need to let a bunch of things go, and that's okay. So there's space for the new thing to drop in. And it's just part of the life cycle, it's part of our evolutionary journey. And if it's not feeling super easy to let that to slow down enough for it, it's a leap of faith, but it's always worth it on the other side.
Yeah, I completely agree. We'll have that with that guidance where it's like it's just not working, and it doesn't mean that it's not going to work. It just means that the direction that we're taking right now, we're going in the wrong direction. And so sometimes taking that step back and be like, I surrender, fine. We get that clarity then, and we see how it all finally fits together. But until we can take that step back and really see it all, because we get very like trying to make it work, we're trying to fix it, we're trying to figure it out, right? So we get very like honed into it, and taking that surrender, taking the hands off the wheel and going, okay, like something's not working. It creates this almost like a vortex of energy that can start moving. And that's where we think it's like, why won't stuff start shifting and moving? It's like, well, a lot of times it's because we are the ones who are keeping it stuck, because we're trying to make something fit that just doesn't. And if we can surrender in that space and be open to new ideas and solutions, I think one of the biggest challenges, though, that'll pop up in that space, and maybe you have a good suggestion on this too, are going to be those individuals who are very afraid to start actually showing up. So they constantly are breaking down and rebuilding their businesses. Have you seen that? This is something I've come across a lot in this space too. It's the rebuilders, because they're really afraid to start showing up and putting themselves out. So there's this constant, oh, I gotta redo this, or I gotta redo that, and I've gotta redo this. It's like, honey, you just gotta start showing up. Have you seen this? And what are some things that you would recommend for those?
Seeing it a ton in a lot of the people that are in my world right now, and they're not even necessarily constantly rebuilding. It's that they feel like that they're not ready to actually show up in their fullness. So they're spending time on the things that don't matter and then complaining that the money is not flowing in and the clients aren't flowing in. So whether it's rebuilding or just tinkering on like logos and graphics
Yeah.
that aren't
Is that
actually
Eight of Pentacles energy?
right, exactly. So yeah, it's just people busying themselves with the things that
Yes.
don't move the needle forward.
Yes.
Yes,
What would you
it's
say moves
so
the needle
common.
forward?
This is the thing. Okay, a lot of these people have told me they're waiting for a divine download and they're so frustrated that it's not coming. And I'll tune in and I'll be like, okay, well, where are you at? And I'll be like, it's because you already got the download.
Nope.
You already know what you're supposed to do. The reason you're not getting more is because you're not doing
Doing it.
Doing it is usually the visibility, the marketing, and sales.
Yeah.
The unsexy stuff that we don't
Yeah.
want to do to build our business. Because most of us didn't come in here to be entrepreneurs and market
Yes.
and sell. They came to be of service. And they're like, I just want to be of service. And I'm like, well, the only way you can do that is if people can see you to find you.
Right. They can't, like, how can we serve if we're not serving? This is a reason why I started doing like these video series and putting more content out that's more educational and things like that. Like how can people find us if they don't know we exist, and if we're not putting ourselves out there and sharing? And let's be real. Are there mean, rude, hateful people out there that are gonna maybe find our things and comment negative stuff? I mean, I can't tell you how many people comment about my nose ring. Like random strangers think I care what they think about my nose ring, and I'm like, okay, but and I get it. Like in the past, that stuff was really hurtful and hard. But the only way that we move past those things is by doing it, it's like we're waiting for the fear to go away. And it's like the only way it's going to go away is for us to build our confidence. And that comes from trudging forward and doing what's uncomfortable.
Yeah. And also, I have to say, and you'll probably relate to this. Yes, I was saying this yesterday on a live. You can feel the fear and do it anyway. But there's also the personal, energetic pieces that you can do to help create the safety for yourself. You can work with your nervous system. You can shift the beliefs that aren't supporting you. You can become your own best cheerleader. You can expand your energy field and root down so a storm or somebody's opinion isn't going to
Yeah.
rock your world.
Right. Right. It's
So
learning the
it's both of
tools.
those pieces. And that's why I bring in the personal development stuff as
Exactly.
well
It's
as the
such an
holistic.
important thing. Yeah. That holistic type of coaching, because it is. I mean, that is one of the biggest stopping points that I find when I work with clients is we'll have this amazing program. We've got sales funnel set up. And I've been telling them, I'm like, start showing up now. Like we've got an idea of what you're going to be talking about, what you're going to be coaching on. Start showing up now so that you can start building an audience. So when we launch, you've got people to launch to. But that is the part where I'm like, so did you set up your channel? Have you started making videos? Have you started, like, that's where it's like, oh, I was too busy. Oh, my dog took flying lessons, or the dinosaur ate my homework, kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Where it's like any excuse will do, but it's that fear of, ugh, like I'm okay doing this back end stuff, but me actually showing up, and it's like there's just no way around it. And it's with all the technology that we have too, there's so many things we can do about that too. Like some people are like, well, I don't want to be on video. Cool. Well, then put together a PowerPoint and just record it, or put together. I saw the coolest reel somebody shared with me today about the what is it, full moon in Pisces. I don't track that stuff a lot. I know it's important, but it's just not my biggest jam. And I was like, this is a really cool reel. Their face wasn't on it at all, but the way that they had the words and like little video clips with it, I was like, this is really cool. So it's like there are ways that we can figure out how to show up without putting our face out there right in the beginning. But we have to be willing to start taking those action steps. And if we really find that we can't, like if we're in that place where it's like, I am terrified, I cannot do this, then I don't know about you, but I usually am like, then we need to put the brakes here and we need to go do this mindset work first. Because there's no point in building out this beautiful, amazing offer if no one is ever going to hear about it.
Absolutely. And I'm a big fan of the monetize before you make all of it because, just you need to see that people actually are going to want this before you spend all your time creating.
Exactly. That's why it's like, start showing up now. Like, start talking about it. Are people interested? If they're not, then we're not going to keep going this way.
Yeah. I also find one of those related things is that people will show up and they'll be really proud of themselves and then they'll stop showing up, or they won't show up to the level that is required in today's day and age because they'll be like, I did a post
3 days ago.
Great.
4 people saw it.
Show up and let me know if this is you. But for a while, it was a level that felt uncomfortable because you're like, oh my God, people are going to get sick of me. I'm
like obnoxious.
It's too much.
Yeah. Yeah, but we have to remember the algorithm puts our stuff in, like, it's like 4% of people see one post. So if we're not putting stuff out and learning how to create the content, learning how to have stuff that we can put out there's so many simple little content strategies too. I mean, holy moly. One of my favorite things to do, I channel a lot. So like I'll meditate and I get this like amazing channeled message and I'll write it all out. And then I'll take that and I'll post it with a picture, or I'll turn it into a carousel. I can record a reel about it. So I'm like, this is a great topic. Let me record a reel about that too. So you take one piece of content, turn it into 4 or 5 different things. And so it's like, it doesn't have to be super hard. I feel like people think that they've got to constantly be coming up with all of this different stuff. And it's like, not when you learn strategy. It's not that complicated. It's not easy. That's not
Eventually you should be repeating yourself, right? Like that's the thing. People are like, I always have to come up with something new. No, no, no. You need to
no.
always be going back to
Yeah,
the basics and the things and
talking about the same kind of stuff. I love it.
exactly.
I love this. It's so funny when I've been doing these more like educational videos, I'm usually bringing in people that are a lot fresher, a lot greener than you are. So I'm like, man, this turned more into like just an overall educational like podcast episode than a like a support whatever. So, but I love that. I think it's still like super hugely valuable for those that will come across it, and I hope that they're able to learn. And of course, I do want to share the links to your certification and anything that you feel would be applicable for the audience if they want to connect with you for the type of support that you provide. Is there anything that you want to ask me that you are wondering if I could support you with, or that you want to offer to the audience as a piece of advice before we hop off?
Yeah, there's not just one thing. And I think too many people have been looking for the one thing. It's the synthesis of everything and who you are becoming and all of the different actions that you take. We talked about mindset and action. There's also the emotional component, and there's also the energetic pieces of being open and available to receive. There's not one thing. So we get to really become better at focusing on everything all at once, which seems overwhelming, but this is actually what I love to teach. It's the unified field, and that's why we use the elements. So we have basically 5 things to worry about: the physical, the action, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and then the energetic. So
Love
it's
that.
not that much when you come down to it, and we can work with this unified field to create. But if you're leaving one part out, then nothing's going to work. So, or at least it won't keep working. For me, when I
Yeah.
started my online journey, I left my body behind. I
Mm.
used to work all with my body in person, teaching arts and doing workshops and things, always on my feet. Came online, left my body behind, gained like 40 pounds and burnt out because I wasn't ever making my
No.
body the focus. So
Yeah,
it's a balancing act, it's a juggling act, but
it
when we
is.
actually learn these couple elements, we can find the flow for it.
Yeah, and I think that that goes along with like having a framework, right, as well in your business. I talk about this where, you know, we have the feminine and masculine energies. Everything needs to have those components, and the framework, the back end business strategy, like having the program, the ascension funnels, that kind of stuff set up, that's the masculine part of our business. That's the support, the provision, that's the stability. That's what can provide all of that. And then we're able to be over in flow in feminine by showing up. And when we're able to kind of blend those together, that's when we're like, oh, this is my content strategy, kind of in between that space, because we can use this strategy, this framework to understand, again, like with the offer autopsy, breaking it down, understanding who am I talking to, what do they need, what are their desires, all of this different information. We we then just move over into flow and can just start showing up, knowing, hey, this is what I'm talking about. This applies to what I offer. This is how I support people. And we can just start showing up as ourselves, making sure that we're understanding who we're communicating to. Like, that's a beautiful thing to be able to be abundantly supported for just showing up as ourselves. That's the dream. But as you're saying, people skip stuff. A lot of people skip that framework.
Mm-hmm.
And so without having that, we've left so much money on the table. So my advice, and I think that you would agree, to anyone who watches this who has not set up that framework, to get the help of someone who can, that they feel aligned with, that can support them in creating that business strategy framework in the back end. Because without it, there's not a business. We're still going to stay in the hobby mode.
Exactly. And the structures and systems can be something that people think of as constraining, when really they give you the structure to
Yes.
hold your creative flow.
Yes. Yes, exactly. It's like it's the framework. It is just, um, was it like the mannequin for your beautiful dress? We have to have something that is like holding it together. It's the foundation. Like we have to have that, and it's not that bad to put it together when we're understanding what we want to do, and we have someone who knows what they're talking about and can help us put it together. It's not complicated, and it can be really fun. Actually, I think it's fun. I love helping my clients build out their offers. Like, it is a blast.
Yeah, I didn't like the systems and structures and the frameworks and the rhythms and the routines and this all of that because I was like, I like being in flow and I hated it, but I paid a lot of money to learn it and to have someone make me do it. And then it gave me so much time and freedom and brain space back that now I'm
Yes,
obsessed and I'm like, ooh, like let me
yes,
show you how to bring this in so you can just be held and supported, especially for female entrepreneurs in their
yes.
feminine with the structures and systems holding them. Oh my gosh, it's the
I think
best.
that that's a really, really valuable insight, because how many women don't know what it feels like to actually be supported by masculine energy? And so it does feel like a chore. It feels very, you know what I mean? Like they don't even know what that feels like. And so to finally have that set up in the business, it is like that's what we want. We want to be able to surrender and feel safe and feel supported. That's how we connect with our womb space and create and feel more confident in our voice and our authenticity, because we know we have this holding us and supporting us. There's something to lean on. And it seems so foreign and kind of a silly thing to do, I guess, when we've never felt true masculine support and the value that it brings to us being able to connect into our power.
Mm, absolutely. And it just feels like too much work almost and too overwhelming because of that initial energy
Yeah, you just have to do it once.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so worth it.
I know, this part of building business, but we build it. And then you have that offer, you've got your sales funnel set up, you've got your processes in place, you've got your automation set up. Again, you just show up now.
And if you are creating something new, this is what I'm noticing year, 4.5 into my online business. I have all the standard operating procedures. I have the templates. It's copy paste to put something new out there.
Yep.
It's so much faster. It's so much
Yes.
easier. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So once you have all of that, and I don't know about you, but I know I wish that when I first started in my business, that I had had the support that I'm sure you provide your clients, how I provide my clients, where it's like, look, we already figured all this out. We've already like failed miserably so many times doing all the wrong things and wasting money on all the wrong stuff. Like, save yourself time, money, energy, and just allow yourself to be supported. Build it out right the first time, invest in the right things in the beginning so that you can just grow. We don't have to struggle so much. I think that's part of this like programs. Like, I'm just meant to struggle. And it's like, honey, you're not.
I mean, I am someone who learns by trial and error. And even though I invested in support, some of it wasn't the right thing for me, but I did need that so I can teach what is going to work. I made things too complicated because of the people that I invested in. That was
Yeah.
their thing, that was their
Yeah.
jam.
Been
And now I'm
there.
like, ooh, I am a little, stretched in terms of how much I have invested in, but it all came into me understanding what was actually for me. I think
Yeah.
it's a rite of passage to do
Yes.
some things that bring you the wrong direction so you can actually get the information
It's
on
like
where
learning what
you
not
need
to
to go.
do, right?
Yeah.
It's like that can be very, very valuable, almost sometimes more valuable. But this is the beauty of quantum leaping, is when we really can find someone who has figured it out, and can just teach us that. It's like I use the example a lot with, we can either go to like the med school and learn in a couple of years how to become a doctor, or we can think, oh, I'll figure it out. I'll save some money, right? And I'll figure it all out on my own. So I got to go dig up a cadaver and get started, right? Like from scratch. And it's like, over the amount of time that would take, having to buy all the books to learn, having to get all the supplies and all, like, what's really gonna, like, that is what a quantum leap, that's what collapsing time is. It's by being able to tap in to what someone else already has learned so that we can collapse the time and not have to reinvent the wheel again. I think this is why mentorship is so important. But a lot of us have become afraid to, one, either allow ourselves to be supported, or two, that it's not going to be the right fit for us.
Mhm. I agree with you though. The ones that have been the wrong fit have actually literally taught me more. And so some of those 50K investments that did not pan out
Yes.
were worth every freaking penny. But there are people that will see it as a waste, and there's an opportunity to make gold out of any crap that you're in and
Yeah.
make it the rocket fuel that actually moves you forward.
Yeah.
Learning what
Yeah.
not to do is so helpful.
I mean, it is. It really, really is. Yeah, I look back on the investments that I made. I'm like, good Lord. Like, as a single mom too, I mean, it's scary. Like, it's intimidating to make those jumps and those leaps, but they all taught me very, very valuable things. And a lot of them is, how do I want to show up as a coach? Like, I've seen so many containers where, these big names are like, oh yeah, it's like 25 grand to hop in this container, and then they're not even in it. Like, you're working with like their sibling or something, and you're like, what is going on here? So I get it. I do, but it's also important to learn, and we have to be willing to take those steps, even if it doesn't work out the way that we thought it would. It still is a part of our journey for our highest.
Absolutely. And that is also a thing that gives us the discernment to recognize when people are in integrity and can provide whatever people are advertising. And I'm going to throw our names in the hats, right?
Yeah.
Like, because of your past experiences, what not to do. And so you
Yeah.
can make sure that you're showing up for your clients in full integrity, and you're going to deliver what you promised on, or something even
Exactly.
better.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I mean, I've seen it not happen, and I know how that feels, and especially, women as a whole, we already don't feel safe. We already don't feel supported. We already are struggling in those ways. And so I've learned so much from those experiences that my biggest priority is to make sure that someone feels safe. And if that means that they're unhappy and they're panicking because their money, and they're like, hey, I just can't continue to do this, I'm not going to be like, well, too bad, go get a business loan. Like, we we gotta figure out how to allow them to come into a space where they're like, I'm going to make this happen because I'm excited about this, because it feels good. And maybe they do need to get a business loan in order to do something. And who knows what it is, but it depends on the energy that they're coming from is what's important. Like, what is the energy? Am I coming from fear and lack? Or am I coming from a place of, I'm so excited about what this can become, that I know that I can do what it takes to make it happen for myself? Those are very different energies, and they're going to get very different results when someone comes into a container. Like, very different.
Yes. And I also love, especially in my one-on-one mentorship, but having this check-in to make sure people aren't investing so that I can save them. And they're putting me, up as that. These are my last dollars, and if this doesn't
Yes,
work, it's
no,
like, well, no,
no,
thank
no,
you.
no. We're not doing that,
Right?
because the pressure that puts on both the provider and the client, like, that, it's too much. It's like, we're not going to come in and so lack into something that we both want to grow and thrive. I mean, I can already feel in your energy, you're as invested in your clients' success and results as I am. Like, we want to see them succeed. We want to see them get those results. So I'm not having someone come in and muddy the waters with that kind of energy. Yeah, that's I don't ever want someone coming in with that. I made that mistake before in the past, and it was not good. It resulted in that same kind of energy that you have to save me. They became a very enmeshed client, very attached, feeling like they were owed or deserved more access to me than was appropriate. And I was like, oh man. But again, we learned from doing a lot of what not to do. So this is part of it. We make mistakes, we learn, and we grow, and we expand, and we become. That's how great coaches are made, from mistakes, from making the wrong calls. Not, I wouldn't say wrong, but making mistakes. That's how we learn.
And I also never guarantee specific results because sometimes it's going to take someone longer. And what I'm doing is either clearing out the weeds,
Yeah,
planting seeds, rather than taking them to that place of like the full bloom. And I love that I, get to hear from them 6 months later and be like, oh my gosh, everything from that course that I took, I get it now. And it's like, amazing.
yeah.
So I never make it like this thing where they have to succeed at a certain level in order to feel like their success. It's more nuanced than that.
I agree. I've had clients that have come to me where they're asking, they want to build a business, and the first 4 or 5 months we're working on mindset. We haven't even started on building. So I'm like, like you said, there's too many weeds here. It's like going in an old garden. It's like, I want to have a big, beautiful organic garden. Cool. We got to go in here and clean all that stuff out first.
Yeah.
Like before we can build anything. And that's the reality sometimes. And that's part of it.
Yeah, I've noticed that with some of my certifications as well. And that's where, with time and practice, you can speak to the person who's going to get the best results. But sometimes it is going to be kicking people into more of a personal development phase than the business building phase, because that needs to happen first. And people might think they're ready and they're not. And yeah, it just is part of the process.
I've had situations where I've turned people away for certain things because I'm like, we need to do this first, and they didn't want to, and then they went with a different coach that was willing to just take their money and jump right in, and then they had to come back and pay twice. It's like, but because they were like, I was not ready for this. It's like, okay, but so again, that's part of our journeys. We have to be willing to expand. And that looks very different for everyone and for every situation.
Yep. Which is why having a skill set that can hold people through the transformation is so freaking valuable.
Yeah. And it is going to be the new, like, coaching. It is like the rise of the feminine is happening. It's just wading through that noise of being able to reach the right people, because this is where marketing is a challenge for a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs. A lot of that marketing is like, this is how I made $3 million in a year. Just grab this funnel and it's going to do everything for you. And it's like, but that sounds great. Oh, wow, she made $3 million. She must know exactly what she's talking about. So let me buy this. And then it's like, oh, or then, we hear all of these like big things. I did this and you can do this and da 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 da. Like, I met my dream man by doing this many whatever. And, who knows? And it's like, so it's just these little bursts of all this information. It's like that is like a snapshot of what really went on for that amount to happen. And so we all want to market with integrity, but it doesn't seem as exciting. So it's like, okay.
There's a balance.
Yeah.
Of also painting the possibility and speaking to the highest outcome, and also
Yes.
not making it sound like it's
Yeah.
as easy as installing this one template.
Work with me and become a millionaire in 6 days. Like, oh, just because maybe one person did, this is how the results. Like, oh, okay, like, no, yeah, it's a jungle out there. I've loved this. I'm trying to be mindful of time. I think I would definitely love to have you back to do like an actual podcast as a guest. I think that would be really fun, and maybe we could talk about like the actual process of creating and like building out an offer. from both of our expertise. I think that that would be so valuable and so cool if you were open to it. It sounds like something that you and I have a lot of different insights, but similar insights on. I'm really big on that with like connecting with other women who offer similar offers and services, because when we know there's no such thing as competition and we build this beautiful network, the right people find the right people and everyone is able to get the support that they need. Because I said this before in another interview, like we can only hold a container size but so big for so many people. You know what I mean? Like, and then connecting with others, we know, okay, gosh, maybe I'm all booked and I'm like, I can't take on more, but I know so and so and so and so. And, you know, like this person would be great for you because we've built this beautiful community of women that are uplifting each other and supporting each other. So I love that. It's like giving me life right now.
Yes, I love it. And in the frequency of abundance, there is no competition. It is just that co-creative energy. So I
Yeah.
love to jam. This has been so fun, so
Yeah.
delightful, and also very affirming that I'm in this space where I'm like, I have learned and I have made so many mistakes, but
Yeah.
now I have refined what I'm doing to the point where it
Yeah.
is just
Just keep
continuing,
going.
expanding. Yeah.
Yeah. You just have to keep going. I mean, that's really, it's like we figure it out and it's like we just keep on trucking. It gets to a point too that we feel like we have to keep refining things, you know, and instead it's like, wait, I can just now like relax and show up. Ah, so I think you're there. And now you just get to play and have fun and enjoy and refine and learn with your content and that's yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful place to be. I love it. So I can't wait. I can't wait to do that interview. Maybe we can do it in a couple of weeks.
That sounds amazing. And just for anybody that is at the more beginning stage of their journey, it's lovely to just speak into the fact that literally it is just the practice that will get you there. As long as you don't give up and you keep learning and growing, like you will come to this place. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's no way around it. Like if you keep going, you will eventually reach your destination. Right? Period. Like, so for those that are discouraged, please just keep going, keep learning, even if they can't. This is a big reason I want to do a lot of these videos is I get it. There are women who are starting out who really cannot invest in mentorship. And if they're able to come across videos like this and see and learn and gather something and feel a sense of connection and support, and that continues to keep the ember alive, like that's everything. That's everything because they have something to offer and they deserve to have the support that they need.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful series you're doing.
Aw, thank you. Love it. All right, awesome. We'll make sure to get all those links that you and I talked about. I'll get them from you so I can make sure that they're down in the description for the video. And hopefully we'll get to see you again in a few weeks for a full podcast interview.
Yay, amazing. Thank you so much for your time and your beautiful energy and support as well.
Oh, you're welcome. I love it. Well, thank you, and we'll talk soon.